Hello there, this is James Uscroft, Ujames 1978, welcoming everyone at long last to another episode of my new podcast series, Ujames Recommends, in which I recommend a film to a friend of mine, we watch it together, and then they give their opinion of it. It's as simple as that. So, in this episode, I'm joined by my good friend Tim.
Hello, if you don't have any nice things, I'm the one who should be apologising.
We've just finished watching the 2003 Korean psychological horror thriller drama A Tale of Two Sisters, and before we continue, I must warn everyone that more than ever before, this podcast will be one massive flaming spoiler. Literally, do not proceed any further unless you have seen this film, and to aid you in that, I've linked to a free copy of the movie with English subtitles in 2 parts down in the underbar. That being said, however, I still ask everyone to support the creators by paying to view the film legally, and having hopefully made that clear, Tim, did you see that coming?
Not really. Like, it was one of the possibilities, but then I went back and I was like, yeah, no, I'll ditch that idea. And then yeah.
Yes,
I had a few things. Like I had the idea, oh, maybe it is. But then I took some of the hallucinations into account. Yeah, literally. And I was like, oh no, but then that couldn't possibly be. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, the whole point of the hallucination, the whole point of the ghost imagery, the horror imagery in this film is a red herring.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a lot like Oculus in that sort of way. Mm-hmm. Except Oculus, there was something actually supernatural, kind of, maybe. And this one, it was probably not. You
mean Amy Pond versus the Haunted Mirror? How dare you mention that pile of shit in the same breath as this film?
I do what I want. You're not my real mum. Ah, that was the theme in the movie. You're not my real mum.
Yeah. But yes, just to make it clear for all of those people who are watching this film and going, what? Yes, the entire point of the film, the big reveal at the end, is that Sumi suffers from dissociative identity or disorder, what is commonly known in the vernacular as multiple personalities. The entire time that she and her father were in the house, they were alone together except for the dinner party with her stepmother's brother and sister-in-law, hence them looking really terrified as this teenage girl pretends to be an adult woman. Her stepmother... You know what I mean. But it's difficult. Her stepmother, sisters, brothers, whatever. But her stepmom talking about her step uncle's childhood. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yes, you remember saying, "Oh God, she's so creepy that the dad doesn't even want to sleep next to her." Yeah. Imagine your own daughter thinking that she's your wife and wanting to fuck you.
We can't all be Lot. Yes, it was a bit mind-fucky.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm still like in like that in like that morning after, I'm still trying to like think, do I regret it or not?
The regret watching the film, you mean?
No, not like regret, like that feeling of like what have I just done sort of thing.
I'm sorry, what context? What are you referring to?
So I'm still like in that thing, like still trying to process everything in the movie, because like the movie, I guess for me, because I did get pretty sucked into the get sucked right into like, I guess what was ended up being the internal thoughts of this person.
Yeah.
And
yes.
now it's coming out back into the real world, and it was kind of traumatizing because there was a lot of, not nice things happening to very young children. Well, not very young, but young children.
Yes, just the whole point of DID is that it's almost always the result of an emotional trauma. So, yes, once again, massive spoilers. If you haven't seen the film already, then how have you listened this far? Why have you listened this far? The fact is, she felt so cripplingly guilty over leaving her sister Soo-yeon to die that Sumi developed multiple personalities to recreate, to play out this conflict between herself, her sister, and her stepmother over and over again, creating an evil version, an exaggerated version of her stepmother's perceived evil in her own mind and playing that out. So even at the beginning of the film, even at the beginning of the film, when they're both accusing each other of touching each other's stuff, doing each other's jobs, no, Sumi is doing everything. It's just that when one personality is dominant, the other is sleeping. I remember you mentioned at one point, wow, this house has thick walls, because why couldn't Sumi hear Soo-yeon screaming? Because it's all in her head. The stepmother personality was dominant at that point. And so Sumi wasn't there, wasn't in control of her body, wasn't aware of anything that was happening.
Yeah, I did also like the trauma causing aspect, like that being explored of DID as well, because I guess the only reason why I'm saying that is because the last movie I watched before this was Split, which was a very, very different take on it. But no, this was like good.
Yes, it wasn't just the old multiple personality. It wasn't just multiple personalities as an insulting trope, really.
Yeah.
Even Movie Bob, whilst lavishing praise upon Split, felt compelled to point out, this isn't what DID is like. This is just the same old mental illness makes you evil bullshit.
Yeah, and it wasn't. And it wasn't even like the exploration of it was, Mum did something to me, now I've got 23 personalities. In this, you could see why she needed to dissociate an identity. Mm-hmm. You could see, yeah.
As I say, the crippling guilt over her sister's death and projecting all of that guilt onto her stepmother, who was at least partially guilty. And unable to let go of it, having to replay it in her head over and over in one form or another, unable to admit that Soo-yeon is dead.
Yeah, I thought for a moment, I did even consider for a moment that it was actually the dad who wasn't quite there, because I was like, stepmom knows it, and Soo-yeon knows it. Why doesn't he know this?
Watching the film the second time, the third time, the 24th time, feeling sorry for him. The scene when he's shaving and he's hearing what, of course, to us sounds like Sumi and his second wife arguing in the background. And he's just so despondent. Oh, God, she's doing it again. Because she's arguing with herself. Yeah. To her, it's two voices. We see two people, hear two people. But no, the father, you say the father is the one who's out of it. No, the father's the only one who actually perceives reality as it truly is.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of things, a lot of little clever things in the movie which keep making you question yourself. I remember when the big reveal that that little sis was dead, and I was like, but hang on, there's been characters interacting with her. Oh wait, hang on. So when stepmom told her, don't you follow your sister? No, that was actually
yeah.
That kind of it happened. It didn't happen, but it happened.
But no, every time the father handed the pills to his wife, the stepmother, no, it was to me. The other Sumi and Soo-yeon sitting around the table were just projections of her demented mind. But no, talking about individual scenes, perhaps my favourite, the one that really gives us a clue as to this distinction between reality and Sumi's hallucinations and delusions. Remember the scene when Sumi and Soo-yeon were sitting on the balcony whistling, or Sumi was whistling and Soo-yeon was trying to whistle.
Yeah.
To which their dad comes out onto the balcony as well, and the camera angle changes so that you only see Sumi and her dad. Soo-yeon is suddenly cut out of the shot, as if to show that no, this is reality. Soo-yeon isn't there. That happens a couple of times throughout the film. Notice how the dad never even glances in Soo-yeon's direction, let alone acknowledges her existence. And even when it's supposed to be all four of them around the dinner table, he only ever looks at his wife, the stepmother, because that's just Sumi playing. Sumi with her stepmother personality dominant, believing that she is the stepmother and thus appearing to us as the stepmother. Everything else is just projection.
Yeah, and it also kind of makes sense, like, why all the dinner scenes were that tense, because there's four people around this table. Why is no one talking? Like, what sort of happened? That question should be coming up anyway, but it makes a lot more sense when it's just, daughter and father.
Yeah, and daughter and father who's just got out of the psychiatric ward and is, if she keeps acting like this, is going to be going back very soon. But can I just ask, what kind of psychiatrist would give the advice that, yes, your daughter is horribly traumatised by the death of her mother and her sister and blames herself, so take her back to the house where it happened and don't remove the wardrobe that killed both of them?
Yeah, that did come across. That did come across in my mind. That doctor, he was interesting. I don't know anyone who washes their hands in a font specifically before talking to someone.
Yeah, just going to, what was it he said? Interviewing a patient in an almost catatonic state and washing his hands beforehand. It looks more cinematic, but it makes no fucking sense. That's the, the scene with the sister-in-law claiming that she saw something under the sink as a red herring to make us believe that, yes, there are really ghosts rather than it just being Sumi's hallucinations and split personalities. Those are the only two sins that I can see if this were cinema sins. As a matter of fact, I can imagine cinema sins doing this. Cinema sins analysing this film, going through the whole movie, going, this doesn't make sense, and this doesn't make sense, and this doesn't make sense, to which at the end, and ding, 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 as they take off all of the sins, except for the doctor washing his hands, interviewing a semi-catatonic patient, and why did the sister-in-law see something under the sink if it wasn't there?
I did like the use of color throughout the movie. You saw it in an early scene where Yumi and her not really their sister arrive, and most of the scenes at the outside scenes are like this pale brown and pale green. And all the salient things like the saliva flowers and the some of the girls' clothes were this vibrant red. You see it a bit later too, where the dissociated identity of the stepmom, she's also wearing this vibrant red. And like there's a bit of that in the dinner scene too, because the dinner scene it's a bit out of place. If it does feel out of place. And it also has a very red tone to it. Like, the light, there's warm colours, and I did like the use of colours.
Yes, the red, the colour of blood, just a constant subconscious... The subconscious reminder throughout the film that, yes, shit's gonna get real. Something bad is going to happen.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the end of the scene where the stepmom gets attacked by a hallucination ghost, she was very cold, and you could like see breath and stuff. I don't know if that was part of the hallucination or not, but it reminded me of winter. And at the beginning, it was the end of summer going into autumn, and that whole it's getting worse, like that decline from summer to winter. Yeah, and then you've got Yumi's sort of decline back into. Well, they say, oh, are you still sick? Are you going to get sick again? Mm-hmm. Which was another clever thing they did. They always talked about Sumi being sick. So Suni, always getting sick, and it was the stepmother, always taking the pills. Exactly. That was another sort of.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yes, the stepmother is the crazy one. Yes, but the stepmother is just Sumi's dissociative identity. Just one of the personalities in her head. But going back to what you were saying before about the use of colour, though, yes, and the stepmother personality's absurd creepiness. The second night, I think it was, when the father has just gone downstairs because, no, I am not sleeping in the same bed as my daughter. This is too fucking creepy. To which the stepmother wakes up wearing the, as you say, the vibrant blue dressing gown, and after just kind of haunching over the edge of the bed like something out of The Ring, wanders from room to room, and we see the brightly coloured red and green wallpaper passing behind her with this bright blue, vibrant, shimmering blue dressing gown, as she just sort of chews on the end of her thumbnail, muttering to herself. Could that scene possibly be any more creepy? Or when Sumi's actual personality, when Sumi has found the beef stomach or whatever it is wrapped in butcher's paper dripping with blood, the dissociative personality in Sumi's mind is just staring at the television static, turns, looks like a predator who thinks she's sniffed food for a second, then turns back to the television, just staring at it blankly. This film is so traumatizing. Mm-hmm. Well, not traumatizing, but unnerving. Seriously.
I have to take my hat off to stepmom / hallucination stepmom, because that woman was brilliant. It's a very subtle thing to look cheerful and predatory at the same time.
Absolutely. As you say, from the second she appears, the actress's name is Jung Joon. She absolutely nailed that character. You said, oh my God, from the second we saw her, this woman has been so terrifying. We've only seen her for 30 seconds. From the moment she arrives welcoming what we think are the two sisters back home. Oh, hello, how are you? Have you been... Oh my God, get away from us. Jesus. To be so cheerful and friendly and yet so terrifying. And at dinner, of course, being Sumi just creating false memories of the stepmother's childhood with her brother, inventing stories of and then telling it at dinner as father, brother, and sister-in-law just sit there terrified, afraid to say anything. Don't you remember that? Don't you remember? No, I don't remember. To which father and sister-in-law, oh shit, you've done it now, and just the way her face changes it spins on a penny, just from happy and laughing to, what do you mean you don't remember? And that line, are you crazy? The way you burst out laughing at the line, are you crazy? Yes, of course, he's the crazy one.
Yeah. Another thing that I liked too was like I snapped back to it immediately when this film started giving you, oh, they're the same person, how it was weird because it was all about period blood, but it's like, oh, she has a period at the same time as a little sister, as mum, at the same time as bloody Sumera ghost. It was a constant thing. Like, it was consistently, like, I don't think menstrual cycles synchronized that quickly.
But yes, once again, once you understand that they're all the same person, that it's all just Sumi's hallucination, it all makes sense.
It was a really, really good movie. I'll probably look for a payable copy, viable copy.
Indeed, everyone should. Seriously, this is why I wasn't really angry, but I was annoyed to hear you mention cliched, barely mediocre shit such as Oculus in the same breath. Come on, this. The way that you mentioned how you were always waiting for the for the classic horror movie tropes and thriller tropes.
I loved that because in many, because that was what I wanted to talk about, the done effect. So everybody knows the sound effect done. Something startling happens, done, because the music tells you when to be scared. But this one, it keeps the tension by not doing that every time something startling happens. It only does that like when it really needs to. Like it was because I was expecting like. Yeah, I was like, for example, I was when the fingers came along the door. I was expecting the door to open wide. Oh, it's just the sister. No, that never happened. And then the tension just kept building up. Or like when you saw the where stepmother personality lifts her head and there's someone in the chair, and I was expecting a done there, and it didn't come, and I was like, ugh. Yeah, and it kept building up. So
so many horror films, so many thrillers, especially American horror movies and thrillers, are so formulaic, so paint by numbers. Everything's been done. However, the point I was making before you interjected, Tim, is that this is so original. It takes the standard tropes and cliches and turns them on their head. No, it's not a haunted house. It's just hallucinations. No, all of these cues and stings which you expect and tropes which you expect to be there to tell you when to be scared, we're not going to tell you when to be scared, and thus it's more scary. The fact that you're waiting for something to happen and it doesn't, but then it does. It genuinely surprises you.
Yeah. I guess because my partner Brooke, she loves B grade horror. She loves cheap horror because that's the type of comedy she's into, I suppose. Yeah, and so I guess I'm sort of like conditioned to like look out for like cues like that, and so because I get exposed to it a lot, I'm like, okay, so this is going to come, right? It's going to come, right? You're right?
No.
Right? Oh, no, it's not.
I don't know if it's just that the director, Kim Ji-woon, just that he doesn't know about American, although English language horror films, so he doesn't know what tropes to use, or if he was actively and intentionally subverting them. But either way, the result was top fucking notch. He did a great job.
Yeah.
And
and
go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say the movie also does a lot of the like this. This is a bit more classic, but it does a lot of the whole what you don't see is even scarier. Like some of the really tense scenes were like and it weren't like dark. Like you could see everything because it's like a balance. Some movie like you got movies that try to do the what you can't see does scare you, but they do it by making everything completely like so dark that you can't see anything. Like you can see and you know what's going on in the scene, but there's something you feel like there's something just in that shadow in the corner or just off the screen that just like there's something threatening there, but I just don't know quite where it is.
Yes, the whole sense throughout the film that something's wrong. It's the fact that the film is set in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was made in 2003. But the house itself, it's decorated as if it was still 1936. And so the fact that everything's just a little bit wrong. It's the horror of the uncanny. Nothing that you can put your finger on. Like the red that we mentioned before, in amongst the otherwise pale natural colours outside. And
Well, the dad's role was, I think, integral to that because he was always just a bit askew.
Yes, the fact that he never seemed to notice anything, he was just depressed and wandering around the house despondently, doing his best to ignore everything.
Yeah, and the reason why so much is why he seems so askew is. Actually, he's the only kind of like a tie to the real world because
exactly.
so much everything
as I said
else
before,
is her.
We think that, as you say, you thought during the film that he was the one who was mentally ill. He was the one who was out of it, to use your term. But no, he was our only connection to reality. Everything else was just Sumi's hallucinations. But as much as I want to continue for the next 3 hours, I think this would be a good place to leave it. Make sure that the podcast isn't so long that no one even dares to click on it. But before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
See this, and give the people money. Encourage this.
Yes,
I suppose.
Yes, continue to encourage work such as this, not just with cheers, but with cash, the only encouragement that actually matters in the filmmaking industry. But yes, as I say, I think that's everything for now. So thank you very much, Tim, for joining us and for sharing your opinion of this absolute masterpiece. And either way, thank you once again, Tim, and until next time when I'll be discussing another movie with another friend, Annyeong.